How the heck are you? How the heck are you?
We're going to do a podcast.
So let's get a little deeper into your story, shall we? Who are you?
Well,
that becomes a sticky wicket. You know, what's your juice? Let's get back on track. You've got a lot of things going on. What is it that you're curious about? You know, what you're doing.
Run the world.
Right? Well,
like, let's crumble up some philosophy for you.
boom, 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 boom. It's been a whirlwind for you. What is it that supercharges you about this? Lots going on, lots coming up. Or is that too many stuff? Did I ask too many questions?
No, not too many questions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Mind Your Own Business, the Chamber Podcast. I'm Moe Belliveau. I'm your host, and this is where I get to chat with chamber members, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, business professionals as to who they are, what they do, and more importantly, why they do it. And before we get started here today, I want to give a big shout out to a big thank you to E-Media. We are in their studios. They're doing the filming and recording for us. They make us look and sound fabulous month after month. And I want to thank especially Jeff Mastriani. He is the executive director here at E-Media. Jackson Foote, our production coordinator, and Tim Riley is operations manager. So thank you, guys, for all that you do behind the scenes and making us look fabulous. So this is episode 9, and I am so excited, over the moon, to have with us today Lystra Blake, co-owner of Community Food Engine. And I'm going to hand it over to Lystra to give us a little background as to who she is, and then we can find out about what Community Food Engine is, was, and is going to be moving forward. So Lystra, how the heck are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much, Mo, for inviting me to this podcast. And I want to add my thanks to the folks here at E-Media for everything they're doing to make this possible as well.
Yeah.
My name is Lystra Blake, and my husband and I are co-owners of what was formerly Mill 180 Park, which was one of Community Food Engine's initial business. And we are now CFE Farmstead. And we can talk a little bit about what we were and what we are now. In many ways, it's a progression of where we were initially. Michael and I came to Easthampton when our daughter was about to start high school. And it was around that time that we really looked around and thought to ourselves that a lot of people today, especially young people, seem to be very anxious about life.
Let me just back up one quickly. So you are not a resident here in Easthampton?
I have an apartment.
So you're a part-time resident?
I'm now a part-time. Yes, I'm not a full-time resident.
Okay.
And I'm less so than before. Before, I lived up here.
Yeah.
When Mill 180 Park was very
young,
busy and young. And my husband traveled back and forth
from
Virginia.
Okay.
To spend some time with me.
Yes.
It was really sort of interesting now that I am living more in Virginia. The first thing some people around me ask, how is it living with your husband?
Yeah, right.
Like,
I know. Because you guys spent a lot of time apart.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. We still have our apartment and a home here. One of my sons live in Easthampton.
Okay, great.
So we are still affiliated with the area.
So you split your time.
We do split our time. And so yeah, and I'm excited about what it hasn't changed anything.
So let's back up and let's talk about what was when you first came to Easthampton. Tell us what was your impetus for being here. What was the business model of the time, and then we can go from there.
The impetus for being here was really my daughter came to school up here. She came to boarding school up here.
Yep.
And my husband, who is really into buildings and architecture, saw the mills and thought, wow, this is really great. And in particular, what we've seen about a lot of the old mills around the country is that they're being converted to high and retail and apartment complexes. But here in Easthampton, they were really being redone for everybody to use and they weren't destroying it. They weren't necessarily letting it go to waste to ruin, and we love that. And in particular, we liked what was happening at 180 Pleasant Street, Mill 180, which is where we ended up to open our business. Right. That's the impetus for deciding to open a business up in so far away, relatively so far away from home. And we really loved the mill, and we redid everything. When we got there, the mill was now being done. It was a barren, empty place.
It was at the very infancy of what it is now.
Exactly. The entire building. So we
raw space,
right down to power washing the pillars and the ground and putting cement to try to make the floor even. All of those things were things that we did.
Which is no easy feat because it's such a large space.
Yes. Yeah. That's what we did to rebuild it. And we're happy that there's so many very talented artisans in the area that we were able to use a number of those folks to do the woodwork, the cement work to build the sinks in the bathroom, the counter for the bar, the floors, a number of things that we were able to tap into the very rich talent in the area.
Yeah, even your furniture.
Even the furniture, the ground, everything. And our little mushroom house, which we love, everything was really handmade and handcrafted. The turf, we put on turf to have an amphitheater look. So we designed, and with help from the local artisans, we built that space. And
the space became an indoor
hydroponic park.
Yes.
An indoor hydroponic place, and it's interesting what people get out of the word park. When we thought of a park, we really thought of a space for people to come in and gather and meet. One of the reasons we came up with the idea of the park in the first place was, as I was saying earlier, and as we were thinking about it, is people don't seem to be happy. They seem more anxious. And my husband, who is a great fan of Central Park, said, there was a similar situation back in the 19th century that gave rise to the urban park movement and the creation of Central Park, where the city wanted a public space so that working class could come in and relax and recharge, and also for New Yorkers to have a place where they can meet and meld. People from all different walks of life will have a space to meet. So he thought, why don't we do that? It would be a great idea for us to do that, recreate that public space indoors. So we decided to use modern day technology to create that space. And we decided on hydroponics to create that greenery that we have, and we're growing plants indoors hydroponically, and it is truly beautiful. And also we were working on our software, which we continue to work on, and the software was to help manage and run the space.
The farm space.
At that point, it was the park. The growing space. And the growing space.
The green stuff.
But it wasn't just the green stuff. In addition to growing the hydroponics, we have a full bar and restaurant. So we were using that to even keep track of things like inventory. The software was helping us to do that. It was all aspects of running the space, running the park. We were using the software, and we've been testing it, and we've been doing that for a while now.
Several years.
And the greenery that we have, in addition to being just aesthetically pleasing, we attempted to use as much as possible in our food and drinks. So whether we're using making pesto or using the herbs in our cooking, making shrubs and everything in our drinks, we were growing making the place nice and green and using the stuff that we grow as well.
Right.
It was fun.
Yep. So what, so that was your previous business model. And so what was and then COVID comes along, right? Mm-hmm. And then, so what was the, again, I hate to use the word again, the impetus for the change of model? Like, what was that creative spark that hit you? And then for the need for a change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. The same assessment we did, the same looking around at life around us, and decide back in 2014 that we wanted to do an indoor space. At that point, we thought, it's social media and the lack of face-to-face interaction. Mm-hmm. That's why people just don't seem to be that happy. Mm-hmm. After COVID, or during the pandemic, and in particularly after the pandemic, you found people were even angrier and less happy than even back in 2014. And you read a lot about more mental health diseases, the increase of drug use. And it wasn't simply because, it didn't seem to be because more and more states were legalizing it. And you drive and there's so much road rage, everything. People just seem to be so much more unhappy. And then you also look at the Great Resignation. Everybody seems to be leaving their job, and we thought, it may not really be social media as we had originally thought. We think it is simply that people are just not happy in what they're doing every day. And since for the most part we spend so much of our time working, then we're thinking, our jobs are not making us happy. And we thought we should do something about that. We should come up with a way to get people to be happier in their job. And that's where the software, software, which we've been testing, by the way, all along, even while we were closed during the pandemic, during COVID, we continued to work behind the scenes on the software. We kept our employees the entire time. They worked full time. We didn't get rid of our employees at all. They stayed with us, and we adapted the work and the things that we were doing. And in many ways, we then started focusing more on the software, to the extent that now Michael has 2 patents, one for hydroponics specifically, and one more generally for the software, the hydroponic and using for software, and one for the software in general.
Wow! So
we're really going forward with that and just having fun with it.
Right. And hydroponics is becoming more and more folks are doing that sort of thing. So there's a market for that sort of software to.
And there is, and one of the things about what we see about hydroponics in general is that when people think about hydroponics, they think, it's just too hard to do. It's too hard, it's too expensive. And people who get involved in hydroponics, they are set it up and forget it. They're not involved, everything's automated, and they don't have. That's not what we want to do with hydroponics. The term I hear tossed around my home is participatory community. So we want to use the software and hydroponics and plants in general to build a community with people being involved. So we've never thought that hydroponics is that just so difficult to do. A lot of things that they originally tell you to do about hydroponics, I understand. You can do it a lot simpler. So a lot of people like to grow. They like to grow things, and they like to get their hands in the soil. They want to be part of the growing. When hydroponics, you can be part of the growing process. And the other thing about it is you don't need a lot of space, and you don't end at the, there isn't that end of the year growing season. You can do
it's constant.
You can do it all year round. And we're using the software to give people the opportunity to tell people how to manage the plants.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say, this is what I need to do. This is how if this is happening, then do this type of stuff. We're hoping to have a community of people who use the software, and they can talk and communicate with each other.
Right.
Look at my plant today. Right. This is what's happening with my plant. Anybody has any idea of my plant is looking really, is there any help?
Right.
So people talking and engaging. It has to be engaging and fun. It's not just doing it in isolation.
Right.
So that's one of the things we figure the software can also do.
Okay.
And we're using it in the farmstead as well to grow things.
So tell me now about your new model.
The new model is very much based on using the software to make life fun and engaging. It's as simple as that. And as complicated as that, although I think having fun should not be complicated.
No.
So we continue to be open to the public because it's such a beautiful space.
It is.
And it's a great place for people to come in and relax. And we have our full bar and everything. And the restaurant is still there.
Okay.
We have a smaller staff, and we're doing things on a smaller level, but we are open 2 days a week.
So give us the name. You went from Mill 180 Park
Mill 180 Park to CFE Farmstead.
So now you're a farmstead.
Now we are a farmstead. We are growing. We continue to grow. And since we're open fewer hours and fewer days to the public, we are really able to focus on the growing and the software and things behind the scenes. So we're really enjoying that. And we're growing the plants in different media, different hydroponic media also. So there is the water, and there is the cocoa core, and all of those different things. So we're using our head farmer having fun experimenting and using it, but we're also putting things in soil. And he really has a love for tropical plants. So he's growing a lot of tropical plants, again, in different media.
Okay, so it's not strictly hydroponics.
It's not strictly hydroponic, and it's also give you the opportunity, we're testing the opportunity, seeing how the different plants grow in the different media, whether it's soil or hydroponics, and also there's always been, you need this really super sterile place for hydroponics. How are things growing when you've got soil and potential soil-based pests in certain among the hydroponic plants? So we're doing that, and one of the things for our CSE is we tend to give a plant as part of our CSE, among other things. So we're really growing. It's beautiful in there.
So now tell me what this means for the general public. So what does that mean? You're a CSA. So how do we get engaged with you now?
Well, there are a couple of ways. First of all, come in and see the space. We're also...
What days are you open?
We're open, right now we're open Wednesdays and Thursdays from just 5 to 9:30 p.m. On Thursday, we seem to have a couple of groups that come in to do board games.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So... but people are slowly coming in, slowly trickling. And I think part of it is they don't know we're there, number one.
Right.
And also for so long, it was a place.
Something else.
It was something else.
Yeah.
And it is less a park for the kids to come and run around.
Right.
Kids have always been welcome.
Right.
But when we had to put away the games and the toys for the most part during the pandemic, we decided we're really just not going to bring them out.
Do this anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. We weren't
so it's different. It's changed model.
It's changed. It's changed. And in the whole process, one of the things we always wanted was to make sure people happy, fun, and we were always experimenting with different things. So, for example, we were in hospitality. We had a restaurant and bar, but our employees were full salaried. They were not. We didn't have tips. We didn't. So we tried to do something like that. Why do people have to have tips? I think there are reasons why it may be necessary, but we're always trying to find different ways of doing the same thing. And I think one of the things we really learned was how hard it is to be in hospitality,
Yes,
how
it is.
difficult it is to work with the public. And none of us really had that much engagement with the public.
Yeah.
So all of those things helped us when we were focusing more on the software and now finding ways with the software to make people's lives more engaging and more fun. And also to let people see the joys of hydroponic and being able to grow things, which growing plants always it requires patience, it's always so soothing. If you don't have your own animal as a pet, it's great to see the growth in a plant.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's different, but it helps to make, I think it brings happiness as well. So I think at the end of the day, what we're about is just really continuing to find ways to make people's lives happier, more fulfilled, and more engaging,
and more community.
And we're using the space to do that.
And so you're calling yourself a CSA. So what does that mean? You offer, we can buy a share?
You can buy a share. It's
what does
online.
That look like?
I think we have one of the CSA shares, a photo of it online on the website, and we've put it out on in social media. Yeah. So it is, and because it's all year, it's rolling. So we have 3-month and 6-month shares. There are forms on the website. You go on the page, the CSA page, the forms on the website that you can sign up. And every 2 weeks, people come in and they pick up their farm share, the CSA share. And it's a combination of greenery and herbs, and we tend to putting other things that we may make in the space. So we've done a couple of tropical plants. During the shutdown, we got into making soaps. We put in some soap in some of the CSAs. So it's our herbs and greenery and things we're growing, as well as some of the other components.
And some miscellaneous, I don't want to say random, but miscellaneous item that you may be looking into, like, maybe we could try making this, or maybe we can, I see.
And that's fun, right? Things to show that all the different things we can do with
So it may not be something that you'll have consistently, but you decided to try it, and so now your CSA folks can try it too.
Yes.
And it comes and goes depending on what your fancy is.
Exactly. Now, so the CSA is one of those things. The space remains open, and we're also looking at ways to, I don't want to use the word partnerships. We don't have partnerships, but one of the things we've done along the lines of both our software and hydroponics is we were asked by Chester Elementary School in Chester, Massachusetts, to help set up a hydroponic program for their schools.
Oh, so it's a learning experience for the students.
Right. At the end, exactly.
So now, do they come to your space to get that education, or do they want something that they can set up in their facility?
It's new. One of the things what we've done so far is we actually went to the space and set up.
So at their location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that the students are the ones who will be taking care of it.
Nice.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Exactly. And
so that's huge engagement.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're
a farther reach.
Yes. And talking about further reach, we're talking to a school in another side of the country that they describe the student base as, gifted and with different learning skills, different learning methods. So we're talking to them to see how the software could help in their learning
Nice.
as well. And some of, you don't even want to get into the technical discussions about the software at all, but it is, people learn different ways, and it's we're looking at a lot of different users to see how people would use it, how it would be good for them. And in particular, as you know, a lot of what we have now are, and there's an influx and a growth of it during the pandemic, warehouse workers. And everything you hear about warehouse workers, and I know that we always say Amazon warehouse workers, but they're not the only ones, where giving them more money is not making them happier. They think that their work situation and their work in general is not fun. So again, is to figure out a way to make them more engaged in what they're doing and more fun, and thinking more of goals that they're accomplishing and how to
instead of manual tasks,
rather than thinking of it as a task to get through. Yes, exactly. How do you engage in these otherwise boring routine tasks?
So it seems to me, which is a beautiful thing, you and Michael are providing your employees, or even other folks who perhaps get involved with your software, their employees, opportunities to tap into their creativity and discover their art, right?
Yeah.
So as opposed to, working with paint or clay or whatever, some folks work with spreadsheets, some folks work with hydroponics, some folks work with, that's their art, right? Art is very broad, has a very broad definition for me. And so it seems like that's what's kind of exciting to you, is that opportunity, that opening up someone's mind to that possibility.
Yeah.
And bigger other possibilities.
Yeah, and also to not see any of the things that they're doing as, oh, here I go again.
Yes, that's what, yes.
It's not here I go again. And even things that you do and you really enjoy doing it generally, wouldn't it be great to throw a little oomph in that? How do I do the same thing that I do and enjoy doing a little differently?
Yeah.
And how that will be, we don't know. We can see it in certain specific, we're using it now to test the software for the plants and trying to build a community around growing plants and starting hydroponically. And in time, we actually hope to, first of all, the space is open up, and when people come in, it's more, they're coming in primarily and they can see what's there. And because we're not spending all of our time
learning,
we're spending our time learning, and because we're not spending so much of our time taking care of the public, managing the public and the hospitality component of it, we're able to, when people come in to talk about what we're doing, to talk about the plans, we can educate it. And in time, we actually do hope that we could have hydroponics 101 for people of all ages, hands-on activities. But for now, people can come in and ask those questions. They can see what we're doing. And we're happy to talk about it and say, you can do this too, and you can do it at home. And in the middle of winter, when you look outside and it's all barren, and oh man, if only I can get my hand in the soil and think of, you can continue to grow indoors.
Have you had many inquiries from the local schools to come and take a little field trip? And
we haven't had that as yet. And I will tell you, we really only opened up in December.
Oh, okay.
So everything is really new. Yes, exactly. So it's very new. We're trying to get the word out.
Lots of possibility, though.
Yes.
Lots of possibility.
Absolutely.
So how has your team adapted to this change?
I think they love it.
Oh, good.
I think they love it. They're not just doing hospitality. They're doing things, and they say, I feel that there's a purpose for what we're doing. They see the goal.
Yeah.
And they're working towards a goal, and they're loving it.
Good.
It's also more relaxing. And when we can get our our workers.
Yeah.
You know, like they weren't unhappy, or maybe, I don't know.
Right.
But they weren't necessarily unhappy, but you see more excitement about what they're doing now and feeling that they're doing something meaningful.
And
it's great.
And it seems like there's a lot of permission too for initiative.
They have greater agency
Yeah.
in what it is they're doing.
I love that.
Yes, there's greater agency.
Mm-hmm.
They can suggest, they're working on, testing the software, running the bar and restaurant, what it is they want to serve, how they want to serve. They have greater agency in what they're doing, and that's great. And that's one of the problems, I think, a lot of people don't feel. They feel that they're doing what they're told as opposed to having a say in what they're doing.
It's interesting too, because I think as human beings, we've been in that place for so long that we've grown. Although it doesn't feel good and it's not really very comfortable, and we don't necessarily really like it, but being told what to do, it's what we know. So that's kind of our default. All right, I'm just waiting to be told what to do, and then all of a sudden you have agency and opportunity for initiative and creativity, and it almost we've lost touch with that, and we don't know how to use it. So you're giving them freedom to exercise those muscles, which is really nice.
I know the interesting thing about agency also, I think, is that you can guide people to accomplishing what it is you want them to accomplish. But giving them enough choices on how to do it, so that even though the agency isn't just you just do whatever you want, however, you get choices as to how you want to do it.
Well, and I think that a little structure like that helps us get through that uncomfortableness of now I can be creative, right? So that helps to take that away, and over time it just kind of kicks in, and it's gorgeous thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are a number of people who have other challenges with how they learn and how they work, and being able to figure that out and help structure it in a way that they're being given the choice and at the same time being guided.
Yeah.
And little choices. They don't have to be huge choices.
Right.
There's some little choices.
Right.
But yeah,
well,
I think that's
those are the easier ones to start with.
And I think that's where we are with the employees now.
Yeah,
It's
your
that
team.
it's more engaging and they're having more fun with it.
Nice. So you just started in December. So it's 4 months in. How has the response from the public been?
It's slow. It's been slow. We have, as I said, we have a couple groups.
But has it been positive, or are they like, what's going on here? Or
I think I get less of that now. I do think people are still questioning, and that's something for us to work on. Is Mill 180 Park open or not? What is Mill 180 Park? And I used to get a lot of those inquiries through the website. I believe I've addressed a lot of them, and I don't get those questions coming in anymore. But again, I think we do have to do a better job at getting the word out. And woe is me. I'm actually at this point learning social media.
Yeah.
Learning. It's a foreign language, and I speak 2 foreign languages. Believe me. So, but even, it's sort of like when you get to my age, okay, I'm retired, so I can say that, this is I retired from one job that I absolutely loved. And now I'm doing this. There's no real retirement. I'm never retired.
No.
My husband said something, and I keep looking at him like, but he said, he feels that when you're young, he says a lot of people say that you should take risks when you're young. And he's come to the conclusion that when you're young, you should do what you need to do. You should have a family if that's what you want, and enjoy your life and build and learn skills and things like that. And when you get older, if you can, rather than just retiring and just sitting back, that's when you should be taking chances. That's when you do those things that you didn't feel safe doing when you were younger. which again keeps you engaged through, that second part of your life,
Right.
that next step in your life. So I'm sort of like, and he says, no, if you can afford to do it,
Right.
okay? He understands that. But he says that's when you should be taking risks. But a lot of people say, take it when you're young. He said, no, I think you should just grow, educate yourself, learn, figure out what you like,
Learning
what you
never
don't like.
stops.
Right, figure out what you really like. And do those things. And then when you get older, that's when he believes you should be taking a risk. And then you don't just retire and sit like a lump, or you think he doesn't believe that. He feels he is always learning, right? He's always actively going.
Right.
And he thinks it's just a healthier way to live. Right now his goal is, can I break X? He's continuing to run. Can I get to this point that I was when I was that age?
Right.
So that's his goal for the summer.
Nice.
Yes.
Good for him.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't try to convince me.
Yes.
But that's what I want to do.
Well, I'm on that same little track that Michael's on. My husband and I took a running back up last year, and so now instead of one 5K race, we have 2 scheduled for this year. So
Ooh.
hopefully we'll get through that.
Nice.
But,
Yeah.
I'm not a spring chicken either.
Oh,
So what advice might you give to someone who is, they have their business and they're like, this is just not working, or this is not what I envisioned, or whatever brings them to the point where now they're considering changing their model. What would your advice be to those people?
I would say that, first of all, I think people should always be aware of what their goals are. They should know what their goals are.
The goal.
And they need to be flexible enough to adapt,
Yeah.
including if it's not working, you gotta bail.
Mm.
You need, and I would say that we, as much as we learned a lot from having the park, it wasn't what we envisioned.
It wasn't
when
your initial
at all.
No,
it wasn't.
And it wasn't that it wasn't working, because it certainly was. It just wasn't what you had envisioned
Exactly.
from the onset. So you had to take a step. You took a step back to say, how can we redirect?
Right. And I think we recognized that fairly early, but we did not act on it. However you act, including if it is, I don't mind doing this. It's not what I wanted, but you have to stop, give an assessment, and don't throw more money into something that's not working for you.
Yeah,
You've
right.
got to be flexible enough to adapt and change and let go. If you decide that's not what you want to do. But you shouldn't be afraid to do it. You shouldn't say, I'm committed and I just have to go down this path.
Right.
And I think that's and you should all, you also
That's
should
part of growing, though,
It
isn't
is
it?
part of growing.
Learning
Yeah.
and growing and understanding. And if you need to make a change, then you make a change.
Yes.
Yeah, don't get so rigid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also really try and continue to do things that you believe in and you enjoy. Because then if you're enjoying it, it just isn't, I know it's cliched, but you're not feeling like you're working. It's not a chore.
Right.
And I spend a lot of hours, and I'm like, okay, I'm learning social media. My son said to me, Mom, you really need to have a personal Instagram account to really see how it works rather than just doing it. And okay, eventually I'll get there, but I know what I need to do to make it happen, because I am going to be using digital for marketing and stuff like that. And it is learning it because I want to reach our goal and I want to reach more people.
Right.
And how do I do it?
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to learn, and I'm not afraid to say, okay, I'm going to do this. So, and it's fun, but I got to tell you, it takes time.
It does. It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time
to manage it and to do it well.
Yes. And thank God we don't believe that. We think sleep is a waste of time. So, it's, we really, I'm better at it, but, 2:00 is kind of our.
Oh my God,
we go to bed
Lystra!
like
No. Oh, my word.
As we say, it's not how long you sleep, but how good the sleep is.
I understand.
And when we
But I need, you know what?
Nah.
All this glamour that you see here,
Yeah.
this is not a 6-hour job. This is a 10-hour job of glamour. I need, 8 to 10.
Yeah, no, I'm not into that. I'm into just roll out of bed and go. But we really do. We're up late. We're up late.
I'm early to bed and early to rise.
Yeah, well, we're not that early to rise. I mean, we're up by 8.
Oh, I've got 2 hours.
Yeah, right. But then I don't go to bed until around 2.
Yeah, no, I'm well into slumberland by then.
Yeah, but yeah. And
so do you have any like a little immediate plans here for the future that you might want the audience to know about that's coming up? Any plans other than the CSA, or is at this point your focus? That's the focus.
The CSA is just one. The CSA, I would say, is the physical. Is what you see physically about what we're doing.
So that's some physical manifestation.
That's
the
exactly
restaurant,
right.
The bar.
Exactly. That's a physical manifestation of what we're doing.
Right.
And we really are inviting people to come
and learn.
Come in and see it and learn. And what we're also really doing is we really are into growing and the plants. And we would love people to come in and talk about it, ask what we're doing, and because now we have also more time to talk about it. So it's a physical manifestation of the space, how to enjoy the space, and what we're doing with the space. But then we have a lot of things that people are less aware of. And one of the things, in terms of the fun things we're doing, and I will throw that out there, and I have to work on our website to do it, we came up and talk about engaging people and hopefully in things that they enjoy. We have a new blog. We have a plant blog, right? It's called plantlit.com.
Oh, nice.
And it invites people to write blog stories.
Oh.
Just write about houseplants. Okay, so just go on and say, I want to, see the few that's there, and we're continuing to work on coming more. So to engage them.
So it's an invite to write.
It is an invite to write.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that's out there. We're loving it.
Cool.
And I got to tell you, I actually have a haiku on there. Very short. Thank God. That's what haikus are all about.
Right.
But, just to bring out that inner creative self and just talk about something you like, growing plants, your house plants. So we have that to engage folks and talk about it.
Nice. Fun.
Yeah. And meanwhile, though, Michael is cooking up a storm and baking, and I look at him and think, who do you think is going to be eating that?
Right.
And we joke, and he says, it would be so good if we had a place where we can sell baked goods. Oh, we do, don't we?
Yeah.
But nobody's coming.
Yeah. Well, they will. They will, because the restaurant is alive and well.
Yeah.
You can come and have a nice glass of wine or a nice craft beer or a mocktail with the shrubs, which is lovely, all very reasonably priced. So everyone, it's accessible to everyone, and everybody gets to have a try at something they may not have tried before.
Yeah.
And which I know you're all about. And where can people find you?
We are still at the same location that Milwaukee Park was, 180 Pleasant Street. We're on the second floor, Suite 217. It's just come on over. Sorry?
Can they find you
online?
Yeah.
We're www.cfefarmstead. But if you go into the Mill 180 Park website, it directs you immediately to the farmstead.
Okay.
Both, if you were to do it on Google, you look to see what Mill 180 Park is, and we get inquiries still for events. So we will continue to do events as they come up, and
some pop-up events here and there.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. And the other thing that we really are reaching out to is, again, as we talk about it being a community space, one of the things, and this may be a good opportunity for me to do it, is doing a shout out to artists, because we participate in the Arts Walk.
Oh, okay,
and
great.
If artists are looking for a space to show their stuff, just contact us through the website. So I'm doing my shout out to artists. We're there.
Great.
And we are a great space for you to come in and enjoy and show your work. And that was something we always used to do. We always had, but we're back.
But now you're back.
That.
As of December.
As of December, we're back.
Back in action.
Yeah, so we're up with the Arts Walk. We have the space for food and drink. It's a great place to come in, have your book club, have board games, bring in your own, bring in your own board games and have your own group come in and participate. Still doing events. And plants,
nice.
plants. And see, and one of the things, guess which is a hydroponic plant versus what's a soil-based plant. Why don't you check that out, guys? And of course, we have the CSA.
Good. Well, congratulations on your new adventure.
Thank you.
I see beautiful sparkles in your eyes, so very exciting. And I want to thank again Easthampton eMedia for hosting us and making us look great. If you want to know more about them, you can check them out on easthamptonmedia.org. The Chamber, if you'd like to know more about the Chamber, it's easthamptonchamber.org. And you can listen to any of our past podcasts, either Drop the Mic or Mind Your Own Business, either on the eMedia YouTube channel or the Chamber YouTube channel. And like us, share, subscribe, and I think that's it. Peace out. Thanks, Lystra.